Now, a Hutch's weather update with meteorologist Hutch Johnson.
Hello, everybody. I'm meteorologist Hutch Johnson. We're going to take a look at some weather across the nation as we're getting ready to enjoy a wonderfully warm Wednesday. I thought this would be a fun topic to close out the night as we have a video on our forecast for tonight. Let's start with our weather, and then we'll get to this forecast model behind me, and we'll talk about that national chance of weather across the nation that could be pretty interesting. Remember, if you're checking in on this live broadcast, I'll keep my eyes on comments or questions. It's one of the things about Hutch's weather. You get to dictate some of the conversation here, because if you have questions about the upcoming weather, let me know. And also, you can let me know where you're watching from. And of course, I'll come up with a question for you along the way. Let's get started. First and foremost, we'll start with our weather here. And to do that, we'll talk about tonight. Temperatures are going to be dropping here as we get toward the midnight hour. And this is the temperatures we'll be seeing as we head toward the daybreak hours on the rise. So overnight at about midnight, we're going to see some 20s, even some teens out there. Hi, Linda from Erskine. Good to have you on board. Now, as we head into your morning hours, by daybreak, I'm expecting these to be closer to 30 degrees out there. So a big time warm-up begins in the middle of the overnight. Now, as we head through your afternoon, check this warm Wednesday out. In southwest parts of North Dakota, we're talking about from Beach out here, we have a chance at some 60 by Hutch's green arrows. So some 60s. Those could kiss the Bismarck-Mandan area in the central Dakotas, but southwestern North Dakota and the Black Hills will have the best chance at that. Here in the valley, some 50s are going to be likely, and across greater Minnesota, expect beautiful 40s and above average temperatures. Not very good for ice fishing, I know, but it's a really warm spell of weather here. Hey, as a reminder, Hutch is on YouTube. I'm trying to build my following there. Take a moment and go to YouTube and search for this, Hutch's Weather. I'd love to have you subscribe today, and we'll be doing more in-depth type of videos on the YouTube channel as well, where we spend some significant time talking about various aspects of weather in the upcoming future. Hi, Shirley from Deer Creek. Good to have you in. Mike from Monaga, as well as Paul joining us as well. Hey, Paul, good to have you on board. Tricia, good to see you from Sheldon, North Dakota. All right, everybody, good to see you on here. You subscribed twice, Paul. That's a trooper. That's it. I'm in double trouble with Hutch. All right, now, again, I'd love to have you over there. A reminder, click on the bell next to the subscription. When you go to YouTube, you'll see the subscribe button. Next to that, there's literally a bell there. And if you hit the bell, YouTube will send you notifications when it feels inclined to do so. It's not always, but Hutch will have regular content on the YouTube channel. I have regular content right here on the Facebook channel as well. Planning, forecast. Thanks, Denise, for the kind words. I appreciate all your support here as we continue to strive through and build Hutch's Weather. I'll have some exciting announcements coming up, and I know I've been saying that for a while, but indeed, we're working hard on bringing you the weather that you want. All right, let's talk about the forecast. Great Balls of Fire. Fargo near those low 50s. We'll see near 50 degrees again on Thursday. If you're in Minnesota, it will be slightly cooler, but by and large, things are going to be quite fine. And Thursday late, there'll be a chance of some rain, believe it or not, with temperatures staying above freezing through the overnight hours even. Friday, we're expecting a cooler pattern to settle in. Now, we still managed to be well above our average of 28. We'll hit 40, but then the temperature decline, the thermal bucket, somebody drills a hole in the bottom of it and we're down into the 20s again. That means a flake could mix in. Will Fargo see snow? I don't think so, but we could see a flake mixing in here or there. Will there be accumulation? No, I don't believe we'll see much in the way of accumulation the way it looks right now. But in the upcoming moments here, I'm going to show you a really cool model that gives you a little bit of an idea of both where the nation could have interesting weather in the form of severe thunderstorms and what these snow systems might look for us. The weekend, cooler, but still above average. Christy, Toad Lake, riveting place there. Snicker. Nathan, hi. Good to have you on board, my friend. As temperatures on Monday warm back into the 30s, and Tuesday it looks breezy, but no more 50s in the immediate future as well. All right, let's talk a little bit briefly about the national picture. The storm track, we've talked about this the last few times, carrying storms to the south of us, carrying storms to the north of us, and we've been split here. And in fact, that split has allowed us to be well above average temperature-wise with that flow in the jet stream. Mike, that dingleberry sound I just heard means Ding, ding, somebody sent some stars to Hutch. That shows me your support. You can look into how to get stars and then share them with content creators that you enjoy. Mike, I sure appreciate you doing that. All right, let's talk about this model behind my big head. I'm going to move my big head. Let me just put it up full screen so you can see it. Here's the radar and a look at the future radar now. So this is a forecast model, and we're going to set this into motion. I will tell you the date you're looking at here. The timestamp is tomorrow night. We are high, we are dry, and the weather is dandy. Now, big storm system out in the mid and northern Atlantic, and another one making landfall in the Pacific Northwest. That's what you're looking at. Rain in Oregon and in the state of Washington. Now, watch what happens as we set this into motion here, and I'll carry you through the days. Here comes our weather wiggle, and this particular model, which is the American model, shows a chance for some snow showers making their way along the international border. But look how it falls apart as it gets into eastern North Dakota and northwestern Minnesota. Could there be accumulation? I'm not anticipating too much in the way of this as we go into our Friday morning, but we may see a little brief dash of slippery nonsense on our area roads. Okay, now let's check this out as we carry it through. That's gone. Chicago. And on the way into the Great Lakes region, we have a weather system starting to take hold. This is on the 9th in the morning. Watch what happens as we carry it through. Did you see that? We're talking about states like Little Rock, Arkansas, into Nashville and Tennessee, Jackson, Mississippi, up to Tupelo, Mississippi. We could have some severe thunderstorms that are formed out of this storm. And again, this is from cooler air slamming into some much more humid air in the Gulf Coast states. Those showers and storms could blossom into some snow. Look at this, Madison and in towards Chicago as we head into the date you're looking at here is the evening of the 9th. So if today is the 5th and Wednesday's the 6th, that's Saturday. So weekend thunder could be severe and some snow heading into Chicago, and that's the way things look. Now there's another system making landfall in the Pacific Northwest at this same time. And look how quiet the entire nation is heading into the 11th. That is very quiet weather. And in fact, it lasts for a while before things become more unsettled again in the Pacific Northwest and the central and southern plains. You're now looking at the 13th of the month. For us, look how quiet we've been in the northern plains the entire time. The entire time. This date you're looking at now is the 15th of the month. That means we could make it in most of these locations to the 15th, 16th, and beyond before we even have a chance at flakiness here in the valley that could accumulate. So right now, that leaves us at a position where we may or may not have a real good chance at a white Christmas, right? So I'll keep you updated on that. Our chances historically of a white Christmas greater than 75% up here in the northern plains. That's almost the entire region. The Rocky Mountains, the Great Lakes, same thing goes up here in the northern plains. However, we'll be keeping our eyes on this because the farther we make it into December, the deeper we make it into December without snowpack, that impacts the position of the jet stream a little bit, right? Because we have no snow on the ground, we don't get quite as cold at night, and once we do get that snowpack, though, we become a birthing place for these, well, really continental polar type air masses. So that's a little meteorology fun for you. Kathy, good to have you on board. Let's wait for February for snow. Well, if we did that, then we wouldn't have it around too long, would we? And then we wouldn't have that term, what do they call it? Snert? The mixture of snow and dirt from it being around so long. Paul says, Hutch, you'll have to show us your YouTube play button when you get it. Ah, yes. Okay, that sounds fun. Oh, what else here? So happy to have you available again. Thank you, Linda, for those kind words. I really appreciate being here. It's fun doing what I want to do. I appreciate your support. And you know what? Your ideas as well. I'm trying to get you weather when it'll be available for you. I have had questions, and I'll address this now. If you've missed Hutch and you've missed a live, I don't want you to be frustrated because right now I'm not operating on a hardline schedule of this is when we're going to do the news and this is when Hutch is going to do the weather. You know why? Because I'm going to do the weather every time it's important. So I'm going to have weather available for you at important times of the day. Monday through Friday. And if it gets nasty on the weekends, Hutch will be here on the weekends as well, helping you through the storms. And really, it's what I do and it's what I love, right? I love watching the weather for you. Brian, thank you so much for a few more stars. I love it. I love it. And here's something Joanne says, a bit of snow on the ground in Baxter, Minnesota. Is that a request or is that what you have? We've had some frosty and cooler conditions the last couple of mornings in particular across the valley and into Minnesota with the fog that was lingering around. And sometimes that soupy weather can generate some snow or ice crystals that fall on the ground. Paul, again, thank you. April, thank you very much. I hear stars dingling in. This is just awesome. If you have a question too, let's talk about it. But the overall pattern here doesn't change too much. Will we have a white Christmas? That's going to be a topic that Hutch covers here in the near future. But I will say this, the averages look good, but this is the year. The deeper we get into December with no snow and no real shift in the weather pattern, well, that might leave us with a better than average chance at seeing lower snow amounts. Roger, thank you so very much. Rob says, appreciate the forecast, but make sure I get some sleep too. You know what? I appreciate it. Let me open up and share a little something with you. I have to work smarter sometimes and not harder. And I do try to be here for everybody all the time, but I do need sleep. But what I do know as a meteorologist are days I need to pay attention to, days I need to look out for. And those are the ones I talk to you about. So what we did tonight was we started with our first and foremost forecast for our area. Just the important details, right? Everybody knows it's pretty nice out there. Everybody knows it's been real nice. Now we looked at the forecast and now we're talking about the important stuff. So I'm saving my time and your time by only talking about those real impactful things. And then I'm really trying to give you an insight into how I do what I do. Why do I pick this model over that model? Why do I think that somebody else's channel that might say a big storm is coming may not transpire? So we're going to talk to you about real meteorology. And we'll talk to you also about what opportunities we have to learn about what a chance of rain means versus it's going to rain. So we'll talk about all those things over time. And if you have questions, I'd be happy to do that. Dustin posted awesome sundogs on one of the posts. Keep up the awesome work. Dustin, sundogs are just a fantastic thing that happen around here this time of the year, right? We get the solar energy coming through those ice crystal clouds and we see the sundogs a-barking out there. Speaking of barking dogs, me and Pedro went for a wonderful walk tonight in about the 8 o'clock hour. Just beautiful out there. Even though it was a crisp night, it was great for a walk. I hope you have a chance to get out there and walk your dog, put the cat on a leash, or if you have one, walk the chicken. All right. Anthony says, I've got stars for you, Hutch. And Anthony, I sure appreciate you. How about we take a look together at one more thing? I just thought of this. It might be kind of fun. Oh, why are there so many northern lights this year? Phyllis, that is a wonderful question. And let's review something about that. That's the kind of stuff that makes it interactive, right? Clarine, good to see you on board as well. I hope I'm pronouncing everybody's name right. If it isn't Smith or Johnson, sometimes old Hutch here, he struggles. Yes, sir, you're welcome, Anthony says. Thanks so much. Okay, so Phyllis, you asked about northern lights. Northern lights are really cool. And you see behind me is the planet Earth, right? Well, it's really just a map, but planet Earth is sitting in the path of sun rays, right? You turn a flashlight on. I don't have a flashlight on here except for what's on my phone. So let me do this. There's the sun's light rays coming towards us sitting here at Earth. Once in a while, the sun has a geomagnetic storm take place on it. What happens there? It makes like this sunspot. It's this area of real intense activity. And when the sunspot occurs and it bursts out a bunch of energy, that energy, if it's facing and pointed towards Earth, if that sunspot or a high field of energy and geomagnetic storm on the sun is faced towards Earth and those things start coming at us, then that's called a solar wind or the coronal mass ejection. You've probably heard of some of these terms. When that happens from the corona of the sun and that energy comes earthward, it interacts with the Earth's magnetic field around it, right? And that magnetic field, and in the ionosphere way up high, there's all these gases that have ions, positive and negative charges. And that solar wind interacts with those gases up in the upper atmosphere. And when that energy gets here, it excites those atoms. And when those atoms get excited, particularly when electrons get excited, electrons jump orbits and that makes light. That's what happens. And the light shows are magnificent. And that's really cool to see. Now, they're very difficult to predict, just like our weather. So we might let you know that there's been a coronal mass ejection and it's pointed earthward, and it might get here tomorrow or the next day, and we might have an idea that it might be a strong one or a weak one. And those forecasts are like any other forecasts, right? Take them with a grain of salt, get out there and enjoy. But we've had a lot more solar activity in the last maybe 2 to 3 years than we've had in the last decade. And because of that, we've had some more intense opportunities to see the beautiful northern lights. Checking out a couple more questions. Cheryl says, good evening from Thompson, North Dakota on I-29 to the north. Thanks so much, Cheryl, for your kind comments there. It acts like a neon sign, Paul said. Absolutely. The glow and the haze. You know what? You really got to be patient when you go to look for these things. Is anybody out here a photographer? One of these nights, I think I'm going to do a special before we have the northern lights, where maybe some area photographers, whether you're professional or whether you're like me, a hobbyist, and at best I take blurry pictures because I shake. I drink a lot of coffee. If you have a chance to see the northern lights, you can take magnificent pictures, and photographers out there can help us. If you'd be interested in a class like that, or when we have a talk like that, then you go out, you be patient, you got to wait. The northern lights kind of do tend to come and go. But if you're ready for them, sitting in the car, drinking some hot cocoa and keeping yourself warm, bring the blanket. When the opportunity strikes, you can get out and witness something that's so many people across the lower 48 never get a chance to see. In fact, I've run into a lot of you and people in the community who have never had a chance to see it, and you live right here. So yeah, you got to be up overnight, late, or real early in the morning. Go out of town, get away from the city lights, and look up to the north. And then let's talk about picture taking someday. That sound like fun? All right. Well, I don't want to burn all the midnight oil here. I want you all to have a wonderful evening. It's so awesome to interact with you. One thing that makes Hutch's weather different is we can talk and have conversations. It's two-way street. I can see Amy saying good evening here recently, and Josh saying, I am a hobby photographer. But you know what? And you do it for your lawn care business. I got to tell you that hobby photography is really fun. And it doesn't take, with the quality of cameras that we get on our cell phones now, as long as you have a tripod and you can hold that camera still, there's great ways to capture some fantastic photos. All right, that's it. Get ready for that wonderfully warm Wednesday. We will throw up. I didn't mean to say it that way, but I kind of did. We will put this graphic back up so you can see the great balls of fire on the way for us. And Wednesday, if you're in Jamestown, anywhere west of Fargo, it looks warm in the southern half of the state, in the western half of the state, and right here in the valley where Fargo hits 53. Grand Forks, I think you're going to be close to 50 as well. And make no mistake about it, it's going to be a very warm day across greater Minnesota. We'll have a chance to see some 40s out there as well. And I know that's not good for ice or snowmobiling, but we will hopefully have our chance at a pattern shift. It usually does happen. There's very few winters, right, where we get really skipped by snow. The last 3 winters, though, we've gotten a little bit above average, if I'm not mistaken, in many places, not always in Fargo. Keep that in mind. Our weather does have a chance and often does get us a little closer to average by the end of the winter season. Have a wonderful Tuesday night and a great, warm, and wonderful Wednesday. And we'll talk again right here on the next version of Hutch's Weather. Have a good evening.